Welcome back to the last of the videos for spatial autocorrelation for Geog 300 Geographical Data Analysis at WVU. We have seen tests for spatial autocorrelation, some of the variograms for representing it in point data, some of the implications, and through spatial weights matrices, some of the choices that have to be made. This video is looking at the different, some of the different conventions and trouble spots for presenting spatial autocorrelation. So the main thing, and it is both a convention and a trouble spot if you leave it out, and it actually kind of is left out at a distressing amount of time, you had to make that choice for Moran's eye. And this is focusing on Moran's eye, by the way. You had to make that choice of the spatial weights matrix. Who is my neighbor? And you have several choices to make. No matter what, you first have to choose your type of matrix: contiguity, distance band, nearest neighbor. Then you have a parameter to choose within that type. Do I pick a queen or a rook contiguity? What distance threshold do I pick? 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, or anything in between? How many neighbors do I want for a nearest neighbor matrix? So you need to make those choices, and you need to justify and explain those decisions. Otherwise, somebody might say, "What? You should have used queen matrix instead. Why'd you do that?" But if you can justify that, they might say instead, "Okay, I would have picked queen for this reason, but you gave a pretty good rationale for a 60-kilometer distance threshold instead." And if you can justify that choice, you're going to go a long way. That's going to help a lot. Then, you would typically include the I value for Moran's eye, the associated P value, and if you did the local autocorrelation, the Lisa map that I had drawn here in blue and red to say where are the high values clustered, where are the low values clustered. That would be included to illustrate where in the state, where in the country, where in your study area do you have those high and low values. Those, again, should follow the standard conventions for cartography. Make sure it has a title. Make sure it has a legend. Scale bars are helpful, so are north arrows. Sometimes you don't need them. Oftentimes, as I said, they're helpful. But you definitely need a title. You definitely need a legend to explain to the audience what's going on in this map. Lastly, don't just stop at the map. Don't just stop at the p-value. Again, based upon that purpose, there is some reason you are doing this particular test. Something that motivates it, some question you are asking. Then you find out your result. You get your p-value. You find that, okay, there is spatial autocorrelation. What does that mean for that question you asked at the beginning? What does it mean if the disease for COVID is autocorrelated? Well, that might mean, okay, you know it's infectious, but it also means you need to go to those places with high values. Maybe you need to send more medical resources because the hospitals, they're about to get overwhelmed. Maybe you need to, maybe the local supply of masks dried up and you need to send personal protective equipment. It's about what do you do with that information now that you have your results from that inferential test. Being able to interpret and explain the implications of that is something that will need to happen in a report. Because especially for something like Moran's eye, most people don't know what that is. I would be surprised if any of you have heard of Moran's eye before this week. Maybe those of you who have taken other geography courses, that would be it. It's not a commonly used technique outside geography. And so, even if you are working with somebody who may know their way around a regression result, may know their way around ANOVA, they may not know what it means to have a significantly positive I value. You can't just tell them, I is positive, it's significant, there's autocorrelation, okay, I'm done. What does it mean for there to be positive autocorrelation, and what decisions, what policies, what implications are there based upon that I and P value? You, as the report's author, need to do that interpretation for the reader. You cannot assume the reader has the skills or the background to do that interpretation and reach those conclusions themselves. So that is some of the PACT issues for Moran's eye. Justify that choice of who is my neighbor. Include the I value, the P value, and especially if you've done it, the Lisa map. And having included this, interpret it. Tell me what it means in your discussion, in your conclusion. Tell me what to do with that information. Don't assume the reader already knows what to do with it. So that is spatial autocorrelation. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.